Good evening and welcome. You're watching News Central now on News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top stories this hour. 40 farmers killed in Kukawa, local council area of Borno State. And Lagos State Assembly Speaker Mudashiru Obasa impeached. Security operatives take over complex. 250 parliamentarians sworn in Mozambique amid ongoing political tension. Details coming up shortly. Welcome again. Now, let's begin with security matters. Now, no fewer than 40 farmers have reportedly been killed in Dumba, a community in Kukawa local government council area of Borno State. Local sources, preferring anonymity, confirmed to News Central that the terrorists stormed the farmers' settlement in the bush shortly after a disagreement over payment of taxes. A statement by the Borno State Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Professor Usman Ta, has since confirmed that investigations has commenced on the circumstances behind the attack. The exact number of the casualties remains unclear, but Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum has condemned the attack and called on the troops of Operation Hadin Kai to track and beat back the insurgents operating in Dumba and other parts of the Lake Chad area. In the meantime, suspected terrorists have killed 2 worshippers in Ecclesia Yanua, a Nigerian church located in the Chibok local government area of Borno State. The police public relations officer for the Borno State Police Command, ASP Nahum Dasu, who confirmed the attack in Maiduguri on Monday, said that the command has mounted surveillance and an armed team to restore confidence among residents of the area. He also added that aside from the 2 deaths, 2 others, including Esther Yohana and Ali Yohana, sustained gunshot injuries. And the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, has been impeached, with Honorable Mojisola Miranda, representing Apapa State Constituency 1, as new Speaker. Now, Monday's impeachment by members of the Lagos State House of Assembly came after they accused him of multiple statutory and financial infractions. Obasa was subsequently replaced by his deputy, Lasbat Miranda. Mrs. Miranda, who represented Apapa Constituency 1, was also a former chief whip of the House. The removal came days after media reports of how Obasa oversaw the withdrawal of 43.5 billion naira for backup vehicles for lawmakers, as well as other controversial activities. The impeached speaker is believed to be currently on holiday in Atlanta. The 52-year-old Obasa was first elected speaker on June 8, 2015, resuming office alongside former one-term governor Akimomi Ambode. To unpack this, we're joined by public affairs analyst Mojid Jamil. Mojid, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, Mojid, what are the key political implications of the Lagos State Assembly's decision to impeach its speaker? How might this affect the political landscape of the state in both the short and long term?
Well, I think what this shows us is that nothing is permanent. The only thing that is permanent in life is change. Obasa has been there for 10 years, and people believe that it is time for change. And I think the whole crisis got to an end during the 2025 budget presentation session in December, where he veered off the mark and was lambasting the governor, and also, making, rather casting aspersions on the leadership of the party, saying that, yes, nobody could undermine his position, to the extent that, insider sources told us that during that session, he kept GAC members and members of the Lagos State Executive Council waiting for more than 2 hours before attending to them. So I don't think the leadership of the party took this lightly. And I learned that this was tabled before the president when the president came for the Christmas holidays. And I think his fate was sealed then. So it didn't come as a surprise at all. This is something we saw coming. Political analysts are quite aware that this would happen, but it's the timing we are not sure of, but that it's coming rather at it. I mean, one would have expected that they will give him some time, but as I listened to the members of the assembly, this was a unanimous decision, which means Abasa's cups were already full, and it was time for him to go. And I was at the assembly chambers today, and all the staff and the ad hoc staff, all of them were jubilating that they have seen the end of Obasa.
Interesting. So to what extent do you think party loyalty actually played? What role did it play in this impeachment process?
Yes, no, like I told you, a speaker should respect the governor of the state, be it Lagos or any other state. It is, I mean, you can't just undermine the office of the governor, regardless of whoever holds that position. The leadership of the Lagos State House of Assembly under Obasa undermined the position of the office of the governor of Lagos State, and it was quite clear. And for the very first time, recall that when Sanwo-Olu submitted the list of commissioners designates, about 18 of them were rejected by the same house, and that was the first time this kind of thing was happening. They were represented, it still rejected a lot of them. So, and the executive and the three arms of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, they were supposed to work together. And for a state that is purely APC for the past 25, 26 years, no one never expected such to happen. To the extent that the GSC members were saying that it's like we are having a parallel governor in Lagos. So, and they wanted the president to intervene. And I want to believe that the intervention is what we are seeing in the impeachment of the speaker today.
Okay. I also have to ask, what impact will the impeachment have on the legislative function of the Lagos State Assembly? Will this cause any disruptions in governance or policies or vacuum? Well, obviously not, but would it cause any disruptions?
Well, I don't see this causing any discussion and any vacuum. I mean, immediately the new speaker, Right Honorable Mubolaji Miranda, when she assumed office today, she dissolved all the principal officers on all the committees. Recall that the House is still in recess, so they are, before they resume in another 2 or 3 weeks, I think the House must have been put in place. So I don't see this cost.
I seem to have lost Jamil there, but thank you very much for joining us, and we'll perhaps maybe let you complete that statement in subsequent bulletins. Moving on now, an Oyo State High Court sitting at Ring Road on Monday granted bail to an ex-queen of the Oni of Ife, Naomi Shilekunla. Now, the bail also applied to an Ibadan-based media personality, Oriyomi Hamzat, and the principal of the Islamic High School, Abdullahi Fasasi. Presiding over Court 8, Justice K.B. Olawoyi gave the ruling following a bail application filed by the counsel for the trio. The judge gave 5 conditions for the bail, including 10 million naira and 2 sureties who must submit landed documents within the court's jurisdiction. Now again, to unpack this, we are joined by legal practitioner Bayo Sani. Bayo, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's start by asking, what legal grounds do you think the court considered in granting bail to the Oni's ex-queen, Naomi Hamzat, and the principal involved in the Ibadan Stampede case here?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I would like to sympathize with the families of the victim, those who lost their lives in the unfortunate incident. Talking about the conditions or what the court must have considered in granting bail, well, bail is at the discretion of the court. it is at the discretion of the court, but in exercising this discretion, the court must act judicially and judiciously. The court must consider the facts presented before the court and also look at other principles as they have been laid down by judicial precedents, like the likelihood of the accused persons jumping bail, likelihood of the accused persons committing another crime, likelihood of the accused person tampering with the evidence, and whether they are first-time offenders or not. So these are the issues, or these are the factors the court must have considered before granting them bail. And also, the offense that they are being charged with, is it a bailable offense? This, I mean, nobody knows what the charge is. I mean, there are news going all around that probably they've been charged for murder, or they've been charged for manslaughter, or they've been charged for gross negligence. Nobody knows. Actually, I have not seen the charge sheet. And I've not seen the charge sheet, and we shouldn't, we won't comment on that when we have not seen it. However, there are other things that played out there from the information that I gathered. I don't even believe that they've been arraigned in the court. I think their lawyers filed these bail applications pending their arraignment, because I don't think there's any formal charge yet before any court. But you know, they have been in custody of the Nigerian police for a very long time. There was a bail application made at the lower court, that's the magistrate court, and before it went to the high court. And I also know that the Attorney General of Oyo State also challenged the bail application at the lower court. I wouldn't know whether the same was done at the high court. But be that as it may, you know, if people have been in custody for that long, we should also be looking at what offense have they actually committed. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, before you put people in custody, or probably they should be facing some charges, you should look at the elements of the offense that they have committed. And the Attorney General is involved in this whole scenario. The Attorney General of the Oyo State, and who is supposed to be the Chief Law Officer of the state, you know, and the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, they must have looked at all the elements of the offense. They must have looked at the circumstances surrounding the situation that happened, the unfortunate incident at the school, before putting these people under this, or in this situation, you know. But for me, I believe that before we proceed to issue of bail, because when you say somebody is facing, somebody is to be granted bail, or somebody has been, I mean, is in detention, is before a high court, and his bail is being discussed, we should look at what has the person done wrong.
Okay, so Bayo,
yes.
Bayo, regarding bail now, how does the Nigerian criminal law guide the conditions under which bail is granted in cases involving public safety incidents like the Ibadan Stampede we're talking about?
How does the Nigerian law, come again with that question, please?
I was asking,
yes.
I asked, how does Nigerian law guide the conditions? What conditions,
I think I've explained that earlier. I've explained that you see, the factors, look, if you look at the decision of the court in FRN versus Ajudua, the principles that the court must consider were laid down in that authority, you know, and I said it earlier, that the likelihood of the accused person jumping bail, the likelihood of the accused person committing the offense again, the likelihood of the accused person tampering with the with evidence, and whether the offense itself is a bailable offense. You know, so those are the guidelines that the law has set in place by judicial authorities. You know, there are also, apart from FRN and Ajuda, there are plethora of authorities, you know. But the umbrella factor there, or the umbrella principle, is that bail is at the discretion of the court.
All right.
You understand? So in granting bail, it's more or less like the court is exercising its discretionary powers under Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution.
All right, Bayo, I want to say thank you very much for being with us this evening on the matter. Thank you. Now let's go on a break, and when we get back, drama in People's Democratic Party.
You would not allow me to lambast the Oyo State government.
Welcome Welcome back. Now, drama in the People's Democratic Party as the embattled National Secretary of the party, Samuel Anyao, resumes at the Wadata House headquarters amidst heavy security presence. Anyao, who was received by staff of the national headquarters, spoke to newsmen saying that the Enugu State Appeal Court affirmed him as the substantive national secretary of the party and that earlier statements made by the National Publicity Secretary affirming Sunday Okoye as the national secretary is not the position of the party.
Maybe he didn't get the facts correct, or probably he never knew that the matter has been appealed and it's in the court, Supreme Court, and he's a lawyer, so he should understand that that is the position of the law. Well, the party is intact. What I have to say is that this party belongs to the people, not to an individual, not to a person, not to a group, but to the people. Because this is the only party that took power away from the military. And this party is in every family in Nigeria. So I always ask for our party faithfuls to be strong, to remain firm with the party, and let's work together. It's possible, 2027 is possible for us to get that presidency, which all of us have been suffering from.
Now, following the emergence of Senator John Azuta Mbata as the new President General of Ohanese Ndigbo worldwide, residents of Umuahia, Abia State Capital, southeast Nigeria, want him to focus on uniting the Igbo nation amongst themselves, as well as strengthening friendships with other tribes in the country. Now, the new executive has also been tasked to work toward the release of Nnamdi Kanu from detention. News Central's Chinwe Uhele has more.
After the process of choosing leaders comes leadership itself. Ohanese Ndigbo has over the years had leaders from the 5 southeast states and now has on the saddle of its leadership an Igbo from Rivers State. While setting agenda for the new leadership, the people say its major focus should be to secure the release of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu.
When Nnamdi Kanu is released, I think southeast we have a relief of some certain things.
The people are confident that the new president can live up to expectations and prove naysayers wrong.
So one of the things is for him to unite all of us. Let him write his name in the gold from rivers. Let him do something others never did. So that is what we want him to do. And if I were to vote, I would have voted for him. So let him surprise us.
They let them be united among themselves. Because when a house is divided, you can't stand.
A splinter group of Ohanese Ndigbo, which also allegedly conducted an election in Rivers State and produced a different person as president, continues to question the unity of the Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization.
So we want to see a leader who cuts across other ethnic groups in Nigeria. The Igbos are not existing alone or in isolation in Nigeria. Igbos are part and parcel of the bigger society called Nigeria. And I want to see in Senator Mbata, as expected, that he will reach out to other ethnic groups so that we can build a stable society.
Bishop Sunday Onoha says anyone laying claim to a parallel body ought to define their status.
All of them stand. These are distinguished men of Igbo extraction who have provided leadership globally in Nigeria and to the Igbo nation. And those men are there. So I will ask any other person claiming any other thing about his succession.
While Senator Azuta Mbata sets to accomplish the tasks ahead, one of his assignments must include seeking reconciliation with the aggrieved members. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Uhele.
The House of Representatives has frowned at the refusal of the Minister of Interior, the Comptroller General of Customs, and the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service at its investigative session on the automation process of the Nigeria Customs Service and its efforts to secure the nation's borders. The investigative hearing, which was instituted following a motion raised during plenary, highlighted the need to deploy technology in a bid to effectively secure the nation's borders. In Nigeria's bustling city of Lagos, children in the Makoko area swim and play in filthy water surrounded by garbage. However, in this densely populated community built on stilts over the Lagos Lagoon, children are facing significant challenges just to access education. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports here.
For many children in Makoko, the journey to school involves crossing open water in buckets and plastic basins. These improvised vessels, often small and unstable, are their only means of transportation to nearby schools, and this dangerous journey exposes them to significant risks.
Actually, I use this to go to school because we are lacking of boats. Most of us, we use this to go to school. And if I told the driver should pick me to school, sometimes they say that they request for money. The money is actually, sometimes they say that I should pay 200, sometimes they ask for 250, and I don't have money to pay for it. I don't know how to swim. Sometimes the water has to enter my mouth and pass it for me. Sometimes malaria, sometimes all these sickness come to me like, so my mom has to buy medicine for me.
The lagoon is highly polluted, serving as a dumping ground for waste, including sewage and industrial runoffs. Prolonged exposure to such dirty water poses serious health risks, including skin infections, waterborne diseases like cholera and typhoid. Makoko parents say they have no other choice. With limited infrastructure and no bridges or proper boats for transport, children and families are forced to make do with what they have. Meanwhile, the community has called for urgent intervention to address these dire conditions.
The reason why the children are coming to school with the bucket on water is because some of them does not have the canoe to transport themselves to school. Even though some of the school boats they have is short to the number of children they have in that school. That is the reason why some of them, children, sometimes they feel like, I have to get to school early in the morning and I didn't need to wait for boat. Because if they are waiting for boat, they may come to school late. If I want to provide anything for government to do for the children, I could say they should have to build a boat for the schools. Because if they have school boats, it will not be a personal something. It will be for all the children that need to come to school.
We have a lack of boats. That's why some of the children are using bucket to come to school, and also some of them don't want to late to school. That's why they are using bucket to come to school. The biggest need we need, first of all, we have to talk about a scholarship for the children, the boats, and food stuff.
The situation in Makoko highlights the need for immediate and sustainable solutions. No child should have to risk their life or health just to receive an education. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nweli.
Now, many argue that technology has revolutionized education, bringing instant access to endless information with a tap or a click. But smartphones also provide access to social media answers that facilitate cheating. While phones can bring learning to life by creating personalized content for every student, they have also proven to be a major distraction to learning, causing UNESCO to recommend banning phones in schools. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
UNESCO's recent education report focuses on countries to consider the use of technology in schools. The report highlights the digital revolution and its opportunities, but emphasizes that it must not be detrimental to the well-being of students and teachers.
No screen will ever replace a teacher. Learning means listening, trusting, creating connections. Everything else is a tool. And tools can be useful and effective, but they can do nothing without the fundamental relationship between teacher and student.
The report also recommended a ban on phones in schools to tackle classroom disruption and improve learning, as teachers agree that excessive use of mobile phone reduces academic performance.
The telephone is the biggest problem to every teacher out there right now. So I think we need to create more awareness, especially to the parents, to help their word. reduce their usage of the internet, as it affects their studies a lot.
Excessive use of smartphones takes a toll on students' mental health as students become vulnerable to cyberbullying. Some students agree it's a major distraction to learning.
Phone is one of the major challenges of a student, and some friends are actually not beneficial, they're actually a distraction.
A major challenge of a student is it's not easy to read and assimilate, so sometimes we don't have choice but to cram. But cramming at the end, we later forget it.
For parents, banning mobile phones in schools may not necessarily be the solution, but ensuring parental control is key.
Phones should be allowed in secondary school because students use them for research and other things. And I feel like they should have guide. Like, if you have guide, there's no bad thing in students having phones in secondary school.
I believe that it should be allowed and controlled so that children will not, secondary school students will not begin to abuse the use of mobile phone.
I would not encourage parents to allow children of the secondary school to have phone. Like my own kids that are in secondary school, they don't have phone. But when they come to the house, they make use of our own, but we watch them. We make sure we monitor whatever they are doing.
The balance of digital and traditional tools in education is a delicate one. Educators need to consider data privacy, access, and the emotional well-being of students and teachers to successfully strike that balance. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Coming up, 250 parliamentarians sworn in Mozambique amid ongoing tensions. Details after this short break. Welcome back. Now, about 250 lawmakers were sworn in on Monday as the uneasy calm prevailed in the violence hit Mozambique. But two main opposition political parties, Mozambican National Resistance and the Democratic Movement of Mozambique, boycotted the ceremony, claiming that they still dispute the results of the presidential elections held on October 9. The newly elected Speaker of the National Assembly said that the legislature would work to champion dialogue and inclusiveness in order to find solutions to the current political impasse in the southern African nation. Margarida Talapa, who is from the ruling Frelimo party, was elected Speaker after getting 160 votes, defeating two other contenders. We'll turn to South Africa now, where distressing news of a video has resurfaced that captures a harrowing reality faced by miners trapped in the Stilfontein mine. This footage, reportedly recorded by miners who have been confined underground, reveals the tragic aftermath of starvation among their colleagues. The images are both heartbreaking and alarming, underscoring the dire circumstances that they are enduring since being trapped for months now. This disturbing relations has ignited calls for accountability and reform within the mining sector. Human rights organizations, labor unions are now demanding immediate investigation and holding the government accountable. Now, our correspondent Mongani Sisiba, who is live at the site, joins us now for more update. Mongani, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're there, Mongani, we're wondering what the latest is right now at the Stilfontein mines.
Yes, good evening, Mazino, and also good evening to... Yes, Mazino, as you can see, I don't know if you can see the visuals that have been happening here. If I can try to step out of the shot, if you can see that light over there, we are not allowed as media to be very close to that place, but if you can see the light that is over there, that's where the mine is, and that's where the miners are being retrieved. So far, we know that the rescue team came in the morning, and it started around 12:01 p.m., and we know that so far they have retrieved around 26 bodies and 9 people so far. 26 people and 9 bodies so far, and we know that we've been speaking to 2 of the community members who have been going with the cage down, because we know that they are using the cage to go down. So what they initially told us is that that cage can only carry about 6 people and 6 bodies, and down there we know that there are more than 100 bodies that are down there, according to the two community members that are going down with the cage. And I've asked them what are those miners that are down there are saying. They are saying that they are very happy that finally help has come, and they are able now to be retrieved, or rather to be rescued. But most of them are very weak, like the video that we have seen that is circulating, where we saw very weak individuals down the mine. And also these guys that I was speaking to, they told me that there are more than 400 people, counting the ones that they were able to count, that are still alive, down under the mine, but very frail, and most of them, these 100 dead bodies, they are saying they died because of starvation. But and now we know that also the human rights organizations are the ones that have been pushing for this rescue to start. So this rescue has started, and they've been given 10 days to continue with this rescue team, with the hope that they will be able to retrieve more bodies, and also those that are still alive down there, Mazino.
Yeah, Bongani, you want to confirm exactly how long these miners have been down there, and so far, has any of them been able to tell how they've survived these many weeks?
We know, Mazino, that it has been more than 4 months. We know that we've been following this story for about 2-3 months, but it has been more than 4 months that they have been there. What has been happening is that the community members have been coming here, negotiating with the police. We know at the beginning the police didn't want them to send aid or food down there, but at the end they were allowing them just to send like instant porridge or anything that is light and water to send down there. So that's how they have been surviving. But according to them, that hasn't been enough, because like we understand that there are more than 300 illegal miners rather that are down there. So the food that has been sending all this while hasn't been enough. So it was enough, not enough to for everyone who was down there. That's why we see that some of them now are dead because of starvation. Some of them, they couldn't get also medical aid, because most of them were asking for medication, because some of them were ill. So this is why we are seeing more dead bodies. But otherwise, they've been getting little food from the community members that were able to be sent down there.
Okay. Bongani, thank you very much for bringing us updates on the situation there in South Africa. We'll continue to come to you for more on the matter. Thank you. Now, still ahead, authorities warn Los Angeles wildfire victims will be unable to return home for at least 4 days. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Now, tens of thousands of residents displaced by massive wildfires in Los Angeles will be unable to return home for at least 4 days. The Palisade Fire and Eaton Fire have forced widespread evacuations, leaving many residents desperate to return to their homes. Frustrated evacuees have formed long lines at checkpoints, hoping to access no-go zones that have been barricaded off. Some are eager to retrieve essential items like medications or clothing that they left behind in the rush to evacuate. Others are simply anxious to learn whether their homes have survived the flames. However, Los Angeles Fire County Chief Anthony Marone warned that the danger is far from over. With gusting winds forecast for the coming week, emergency crews continue to battle the fires, which remain unpredictable and out of control.
My dad's ashes, which we had to leave behind, as well as my grandma's ashes, which we also had to leave behind. We were evacuating horses from the ranch where my mom teaches horseback riding. So we were there once the fire started. We were there all day, and we had no chance to go home.
Today I got here at 6 a.m. It's 11:30, and then they're not letting people in. So what are people doing is they're parking their car and coming back on the street. Okay. it's gotten exponentially harder to get in, rightfully so because of the looting. I did get in 2 days ago when the market burned down, and I had to turn around because the smoke and you couldn't, the visibility, and it's like you were in a ball of fire, and I turned around for my own safety. But
the Foreign Minister of Denmark and Israel publicly disagreed over the future of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees. This took place during a joint press conference in Jerusalem. Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen, who claims UNRWA perpetuates Palestinian refugee status and fosters anti-Israeli sentiments, argued that dismantling the agency would help advance peace efforts and a two-state solution by addressing the refugee issue. On the other hand, Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen opposed the proposed ban, highlighting UNRWA's vital role in providing essential services such as healthcare, education, and humanitarian aid to millions of Palestinian refugees. Rasmussen, whose country is a major contributor to UNRWA, called for a diplomatic solution and rejected Israel's push for a ban.
With regard to UNRWA, we don't have any trust in an organization that demonstrated and that his personnel involved in terrorism, infiltrated by Hamas, that his installations used as center of command and center of communication for Hamas. With regard to UNRWA, the Israeli law legislated by the Knesset will be implemented.
We can't see any alternative to UNRWA, at least not in a short-term perspective. We find that a two-state solution is the only viable path to peace.
Now, the Chinese Foreign Ministry on Monday called on the Philippines to stop its malicious hype after Manila announced the development, or rather deployment, of a Coast Guard vessel to challenge Chinese patrol boats in the disputed South China Sea. At a news conference, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson Gao Jiakun defended China's actions, stating that its Coast Guard's patrol and law enforcement activities were reasonable, lawful, and beyond reproach.
中国在南海的主权和相关权利是在长期的历史过程中形成的，具有充分的历史和法理依据，符合国际法和国际实践。中国海警在相关海域巡航执法，合理合法，无可非议。中方敦促菲方停止恶意炒作。
Now, the recent rebasing of Nigeria's gross domestic products, the GDP, now includes pension funds administrators, drawing attention to the sector's economic significance. Revealed recently at a workshop by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and the National Bureau of Statistics, the updated GDP captures previously excluded activities like digital economy operations and modular refineries. Experts commend the move, citing the pensions industry's role in managing over 21 trillion naira in assets and supporting financial markets. This inclusion enhances transparency, fosters public engagement in retirement savings, and underscores pensions' growing economic impact. The last rebasing in 2014 increased GDP by nearly 90%. In a recent statement, Zheng Wei, managing director of Ticket Business International Limited, pointed out how Nigerian manufacturing companies are leveraging improved gas supply in Lagos to enhance production, despite frequent grid failures. As the leader of one of Nigeria's largest footwear manufacturers, Wei acknowledged that while manufacturers face numerous challenges, including regulatory obstacles and economic instability, the most critical issue remains the unreliable power supply. Dr. Femi Egbeshola, president of the Association of Small Business Owners in Nigeria, shared his perspective on the matter and also on the view that Lagos holds a distinct advantage over other states in supporting manufacturing and businesses with energy requirements.
With the recent power grid collapse now and again, and with the cost of energy, the best for us is to now look for alternatives. And the best alternative we've been able to come by with for manufacturers now is this gas thing. So gas is now being used to generate for us our electricity, and it has been very helpful and impactful on our sector. For example, it has helped us to save about 60% of our expenses. And at the same time, the cost of energy has reduced by about 40%. And that to us is a big deal. Again, also, you discover that because of the frequent collapse of the energy grid, many of our machines are now being exposed to malfunctioning. Many of them are damaged because of this irregular power supply. With the supply of this gas, it has enabled us to have constant, stable electricity supply, and that has already enhanced our production processes. In the industrial hubs in the corridor of Ogun State, for example, in Agbara is one of the industrial hubs in Ogun State. The manufacturers there, about 70-80% of the manufacturers there, depend solely on gas. Again, too, we have industrial hub again at Ota. Those manufacturers there depend solely on gas too. So it's not about Lagos alone.
And now sports. The Nigerian Football Federation has officially unveiled Eric Chelle as the new head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The unveiling ceremony held on Monday at the conference room of the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Lagos was presided over by Chairman of the National Sports Commission Shehu Dikko, NFF President Ibrahim Gusau, and Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi. The 47-year-old coach recently stepped down from his managerial role at the Algerian club MC Oran to assume leadership of the Super Eagles on a 2-year contract. The NFF had previously confirmed that Chelle will oversee preparation for the 2024 African Nations Championship, set to be co-hosted by Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. This assignment presents an early opportunity for Chelle to evaluate domestic talent and gain momentum as he prepares the team for the World Cup qualifiers come March. And former heavyweight boxing world champion Tyson Fury has announced his retirement with immediate effect. The announcement comes just days after Eddie Hearn revealed Wembley had been reserved for Fury to fight Anthony Joshua in the summer. This is not the first time Fury has announced his retirement. In April 2022, after beating Dillian White, the Briton declared he would be hanging up his gloves. He returned 6 months later to fight Derek Chisora in a trilogy bout at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Fury was beaten by unanimous decision in December in his unmatched, or rather rematch, with Alexander Usyk. And 7-time Nigerian Women Football League champions Rivers Angels have bolstered their squad with 14 new players ahead of the 2024-25 season. The additions include 2 goalkeepers, 2 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 6 attackers, enhancing the team's strength for the new campaign. Now, among the key signings are goalkeeper Adeline Mbechi and forward Blessing Ifetizwe, who bring experience and skill to the squad. The new NWFL season is set to commence on January 15, 2025. The opening match will see defending champions Edo Queens take on Abia Angels at the Samuel Igbomudia Stadium, marking the start of what promises to be an exciting campaign. And fast-rising British star Jacob Friendly kept his focus and composure to beat an ailing Nick Kyrgios on. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories we brought your way. 40 farmers have been killed in Kukawa local council area of Borno State, and Lagos State Assembly Speaker Mudashiru Obasa has been impeached, while security operatives have taken over the complex. We also told you that 250 parliamentarians have been sworn in Mozambique amid ongoing political tensions. And that's all the news we have this hour. Do remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.